Welcome to the world of oval racing, where you usually see purpose-built race cars race around tracks at 300 kilometres per hour. This is V8 Supercars, Australia's premier racing category, transformed to race on some of the most famous tracks in the world of motorsport: Daytona, Homestead, Miami and Talladega, just to name a few. The sound of 600 plus horsepower, roaring around ovals at breakneck speed. Door-to-door three-wide action. There are always crashes. And don't forget, get ready for the big one. Where, just like real motorsport, tempers will flare and blood pressure will rise. There can only be one winner, and the rest will be left licking their wounds until next week. So strap yourself in, this is going to be a bumpy ride. This is the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the Indus Sports Network. It is Sunday night. Tonight brings you round two of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries from the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. My name's Aidan Schultz. Joining me in the booth, as always, is Mr. Paul Jackson. Good evening to you, Paul.
Good evening, Aidan. Good evening, viewers. Everyone tuning in to the Indus Sports Network. We are round two of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries at Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight, Aidan.
We most certainly are, and look forward to bringing you all the action here live on the Indus Sports Network. We can see Barry Neal at the top through practice at the moment with a 30.45. Gary Wellman, your winner from last round with the 30.62. But what we'll do, Paul, quickly, before we go through into this qualifying session, we'll bring up your championship points after round one. All the penalties have been applied to all the drivers, so these are the live points coming into round two of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. So we bring them up on for you now. We've got Gary Wellman in first place there, Scotty Rankin and Stephen Williams second and third, Sean Hart and Aaron Dillon fourth and fifth there, Paul Justin Witcher, Christopher Finlay, Matt Payton, Greg Spencer, Sam Katakouzanos rounding out your 10, Andy Barber, Dwayne Priest, Cade Donnelly, Terry Marwood, Joe Torcasio, your 15, Ash Nessa, Aaron Bryan and Troy Davidson, 16, 17 and 18. Paul, as we go to 19th, Shannon Wright, 20th, Derek Jacobs, Raymond Yeager, Warwick Sharp, John Quass, Darren McKenzie, Michael Shaw in your 25th position, Jamie Nankervis, Ian Quass and Brett Campbell up to 28th, Paul. We go across into the 29th position, Brake Tilbrook, Evan Horswell rounds out your 30, Max Riley 31st, Tommy Pritchard there in 32nd, Pete Matson 33rd, Philip Howe 34th, Matty Simpson 35th, and Nigel Payton rounding out the 36 starters. That was round one at round one of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. And what we might do, we might do something a little bit different shortly, Paul, as I just catch up and see how long is left in this practice session, so I can see whether we can bring someone up into the booth and have a chat with them. There's something a little bit different here on the Indus Sports Network. We'll bring somebody up and have a pre-race chat. We'll see who we've got tonight. Let's bring Mr. Andy Barber from Southern Stars Esports Racing up into the broadcast booth. We've got Andy Barber. Andy, mate, Aidan and Paul from the broadcast booth. Couple of minutes left in practice, mate. Have you got a copy?
I got a copy, boys.
Mate, round two of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. A bit of a tough night out last Sunday night. You're looking to get a bit of revengeance tonight?
Yeah, just trying to stay out of trouble and, my aim is for a top 10 finish. I finished 11th last time, a lap down, and just missed that last caution, so I'll try and stay in the lead lap this time and see how we go.
Well, the supercar around Charlotte Motor Speedway, mate, how's it feeling coming off round one and then going into Charlotte Motor Speedway? How are you feeling coming into this one? I know you said top 10. Stacked field again, once again for round two, mate. Barry Neal currently setting the pace at the top with a 30.45, but like you said, trying to get a top 10 there with the number 5 Southern Stars Racing or Southern Stars Esports Racing team. I do notice, I can see you on screen there, mate. You've got a little bit of a different paint job there. You've got the Tiona, I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Tiona Holiday Park?
Tiona Holiday Park up the side as opposed to the Southern Stars Racing.
Yeah, mate, we did a bit of an update over this week and decided to run some of our primary sponsors in that space on the side of the car, and I suppose they still look like stars from the front on, but a little bit different from the side there.
Well, of course, we can't say that without, well, you're on the broadcast, mate, before you quickly go into qualifying. Give a big shout out to your sponsors for the Southern Stars Esports Racing.
Yeah, no worries. We're supported by SkyPoint, Mrs. Excel Garage, and Tiona Holiday Park as well. So thanks to those guys for supporting our team and the Southern Stars. And yeah, we've got a really good crew. So
no worries, Andy. Well, thanks for making yourself available here on the InterSim Esports Network in the final couple of minutes of practice before you go into qualifying. We wish you all the best, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of the race.
No worries, guys. Have a great call.
Well, there we go, Paul. Andy Barber, just before he's about to go out and set his qualifying times, as we're about to go into the qualifying session very, very shortly. We are on screen there with Barry Neal. I'll get you to pronounce your team's name, Paul, because we've been talking about this for about 6 months, and I still cannot pronounce your team name. Barry Neal, of course, being your teammate. I'll let you pronounce that one, mate, as Barry Neal currently sits at the top with a 30.45.
Well, definitely good to see Barry Neal back in the driver's seat in the V8 Supercars. So Barry Neal, my teammate from Aotearoa Racing. And yeah, hopefully we can get some solid results for the team tonight with Barry in the grid.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since we've seen Barry or commentated on Barry here in the InterSim Esports Network rather. So looking forward to seeing what Barry can pull out tonight in that 22 entry. But we've just rolled over into qualifying, ladies and gentlemen, as per usual here on the Australasian Supercar eSeries, of course, brought to you by RayWhite, Rural Gayndah, the Sim Racing Edge and Witcher Electrics. It is a 5-minute standalone qualifying session, so you will see different cars go out onto the track on our broadcast, but they are on track by themselves. They have 2 laps to set their quickest time, and that will be what will set the grid for round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Australasian Supercar eSeries. From Charlotte Motor Speedway, Raymond Jaeger already showing purples there in the second sector as Paul we spoke about the same things at the same time. He's in my ear saying Raymond quickest sector, and I was in the middle of talking about it. So we're watching the same things, ladies and gentlemen. We will let these guys do a couple of laps as these times are going to drop in thick and fast, and I'll tell you who's at the top and who's not, or who's at the top, and then it'll change on us. You can see the top 5 there currently on screen as they're coming around, setting their first couple of laps. Troy Davidson, you can see there at the top with a 30.89. That's Philip Howe on screen at the moment in that distinctive blue and orange car. Kate Donnelly's gone purple in the second sector, and that's put him to the top with a 30.8. So Kate Donnelly, you're defending, coming into this series after coming second in season 1, up to the point again. Kate Donnelly was at the point last race as well for round 1. Unfortunate ending to that one for Kate, so he's got a long way to come back over these next couple of rounds, or this the remaining 10 rounds this season, to put that 41 in contention for the championship. So currently with 2 minutes 20 into qualifying at the moment of the 5-minute session, Kate Donnelly is at the top with a 30.8. Stephen Williams, your third place getter last week, sitting there with a 30.85. Aaron Dillon there with a 30.88. Troy Davidson in fourth, 30.89. And Warwick Sharp matches that time to round out your 5 currently, Paul, with a 30.89. So looking forward to a good one here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, if you are tuning in to us across all our platforms, Facebook, YouTube, soon to be Twitch again, of course. Please give us a like, give us a follow, and let everybody know about us and share our broadcast, because the more viewers, we create more content for you here on the InterSim Esports Network. But Paul, I'm going to throw you under the bus here. We're through qualifying at the moment. We've got about 1.5 minutes to go. I'm going to throw you under the bus. We did it on Friday night for the simrigs.com NASCAR Next Gen Series again, and we're going to do it again tonight here for the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. I haven't told you that yet. We're going to go and place our little pretend bets on who we think is going to take away the W tonight on the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. So, Paul, I haven't given you any time to think about it. Who's going to get the W tonight, in your opinion?
Well, we can't rule out the Sim boys. Kay Donnelly, Gary Wellman, they're going to be strong showing once again. But I've got to be biased tonight, and I'm sure Barry's going to throw a spanner in the works, so I've got to go for my teammate Barry Deal tonight.
Well, I tell you what, it's almost, I wouldn't say as safe as houses, as you'd say, but it's a very good bet. Although he was fastest through practice there, Paul, and he's just sitting back there in 8th at the moment with a 30.91. But we know here on the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries that changes very, very quickly. But good choice there in the 22 of Barry Neal. I'm actually going to go the 23 of Raymond Yeager tonight. The reason being, he's due for a win. He didn't have a win in Season 1. He was strong last week for Round 1 of Season 2. I think he's due for a win in the 23 Pinnacle Esports Racing outfit. So we'll see whether Raymond Yeager can get up to the point and get the W tonight. Very big grid here, ladies and gentlemen. There is 28 cars currently entered into this round number 2, but they've set the grid here for round 2 of the RayWhite Royal Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, RayWhite Royal Gayndah, that is. Here is your starting order for round 2. Kay Donnelly will be off the pole, Stephen Williams out of P2, Aaron Dillon and Troy Davidson will take up the second row. Warwick Sharp and Darren McKenzie in the third row, Gary Wellman and Barry Neal rounding out your fourth row. Justin Witcher and Raymond Yeager, Pinnacle Esports Racing pilots, will be out of the fifth row with a fifth row lockout. Matty Simpson out of 11th with Andy Barber from Southern Stars Racing in the 12th position. 13th position will be Adam Malone with Sean Hart out of 14. Gotti Rankin last week, he got a podium. He's in 15th. Greg Spencer there in 16th. Philip Hound 17th. Joe Torcasio in 18th. Pete Batson will start out of 19th with Max Riley out of 20th. Matty Payton out of 21st, John Class out of 22nd, Sean King will start out of 23rd, Brett Campbell will start out of 24th position. Out of the 25th position tonight will be Ash Nessa with Steve Hoppert. Good to see you back, Steve. He won't be commenting on our broadcast tonight. He's there in the 26th. Ian Class will start out of 27th, and Derek Jacobs out of the United States of America will start out of 28. So there is your 28 car starting grid here for what is round 2 of the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. We're ready for what is going to be an action-packed night, as it always is here on the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Of course, your leaderboard tonight on the left-hand side of your screen will be brought to you by the Sim Racing Edge. Get amongst them, get amongst the people that support the iRacing community. And of course, Witcher Electrics, another sponsor of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. And you can catch all the action, as you would be watching right now, on the InterSim Esports Network across Facebook and YouTube. But the pace car is off and it's left, well, I'd say pit lane, but I'd say left pit lane, as we saw someone just do a little bit of a skid there. But they're just about to line up into their starting order here for round 2. Don't expect it to stay this way for too long, ladies and gentlemen. I can see you all tuning in here on the InterSim Esports Network, and we thank you so much for doing that. But it will be Cade Donnelly and Stephen Williams, a sight that we're used to seeing, especially with that famous finish at Indianapolis for what was the final round of Season 2. Season 1 rather. The two cars are right there tonight. Keep an eye out for Darren McKenzie and Justin Witcher. Will they reignite that rivalry that they have there. Your reigning champion, Justin Witcher, sporting the number 1 car, the number 1, and Darren McKenzie, the 02. But Cade Donnelly and Stephen Williams will bring us to the green. We've got Troy Davidson, Aaron Dillon on the 2nd row. Warwick Sharp, Darren McKenzie, who I just mentioned, will be on the 3rd row. So you'll see the pace car make its way into pit lane very, very shortly. Dave Douglas, thanks for tuning in, mate, but we're about to go green. We'll come back to you shortly. They head out of turn 4 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. There we go. The pace car is in pit lane. The field is in Cade Donnelly's hands. Stephen Williams trying to get a run there on the outside, but that hasn't quite happened. He's passed before the green flag, but anyway, we're green, and it's Cade Donnelly with the jump there. He's got Aaron Dillon, Mr. Skid, as Dave Douglas likes to call him. He's gone straight up into the 2nd position. Warwick Sharp just making a move there on the inside of Stephen Williams to try and take that 3rd position off him, but nice clean start by everyone at the moment. We'll see whether Warwick Sharp can get the job done through 3 and 4. Troy Davidson's looking racy, already having a poke up the middle there to try and make it 3 wide between Stephen Williams and Warwick Sharp. But looks like Warwick's got that job done as they make their way down through the tri-oval for the first time back into 1 and 2. So it is Cade Donnelly leading the way at the moment from Aaron Dillon, Warwick Sharp, Troy Davidson. Stephen Williams just falling back ever so slightly at the beginning to this one, just playing it a little bit safe, I'd think, in the number 98 DPR simrigs.com entry. He gets very close to the wall there through 3 and 4. He's got Darren McKenzie in the 02 right behind him as well. And there's your man, Paul, in the 22, Mr. Barry Neal. So Barry Neal, he's down 1 spot on his starting position. He's sort of in the middle of that very fierce pack at the moment. They're racing very quick, but Barry Neal with a nice little start there. So everyone's jumped off and having a nice little battle between each other, but a nice solid start here for what is round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. So Cade, there's almost contact there between Troy Davidson and Warwick Sharp. Troy Davidson trying really hard to get back up with his teammates who are in the 1st and 2nd position at the moment. So Troy Davidson trying to make that move on the high side, and he's got that one done, as he has Gary Wellman pushing him around that outside as well. So it's now a Sim Boys Racing 1, 2, 3 and 4. Something we've become very accustomed to here on the Sim Esports Network when we have been broadcasting the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. But Justin Witcher's come into the fray as well. He's not wanting to sit back there. He wants to move forward as well. So the Pinnacle Esports Racing defending champion, the number 1 there of Justin Witcher, making the move on the inside of Troy Davidson and Gary Wellman as they made their way through the 1 and 2 turns. We'll see whether he can keep that momentum up, and it looks like he can. It looks like Justin Witcher wants to go to the front early in this one, and he's got that one done on Aaron Dillon. And Justin Witcher, your defending champion, now leads this motor race a couple of laps into it. It'll be interesting to see whether the Sim Boys racing cars want to come back on them in this little battle. But Barry Neal's now making a move to the front as well. He was in 9th a lap ago, and he is into 4th. Darren McKenzie wants a part of this as well. The ever racy Darren McKenzie in the 02 Southern Stars Racing outfit there on the outside is very close to getting into the wall through 3 and 4. And yes, well, you're right, it's the battle of the blue at the moment as they're on the outside. Darren McKenzie wanting to make it up the front as well. So looks like tonight, Paul, with the way that this has started and where drivers are, I think we might see that battle reignite between Justin Witcher and Darren McKenzie. Of course, Darren's sitting there in 5th at the moment, and Justin Witcher leading this motor race. But the way that these guys are racing, the way that Justin and Darren are racing early in this one, I think we might see that battle reignite sooner rather than later. Of course, my pick is sitting back there in 6th place at the moment, doing a great job from the Pinnacle Esports racing outfit. Stephen Williams, you can see there, Joe Torcasio on screen there as well. He looks like he had a little bit of contact with Greg Spencer, but we've gone caution. First caution of the night here for round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries, and Matt Payton has a car that does not resemble a supercar any longer. So let's go to the simracermerch.com instant replay and have a look at what brought out the first caution of tonight here on the Sim Esports Network. So you can see Ian Class there. He's caught a little bit of the apron out of 4. Not sure how Ian played a part in this, but we'll just keep on board. So he's gone grass tracking or mowing, and it looks like the Matt Payton was already around. So Ian Class, an innocent bystander there, not sure what he was doing on the grass coming through the tri-oval. That's a different line, but we'll see what happened with Matt Payton. So there's a car slowing there. Yeah, it was Matt Payton slowing drastically through the tri-oval, and he's got collected by a preceding or a car behind him, and that's all she wrote. There was another couple of cars in front of him as well that got contact in that. So we'll see when all the timing comes up and see who's gone into pit lane. But Paul, didn't take them long to go yellow here around Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was a good start, but not the start that young Matt Payton would have been after.
Certainly not. Looks like we're going to be in for a bit of action through the night, I think. Everyone looking to make their way to the front. Everyone wants to be at the front, lead the race. So I think we might need to put on our safety belts, Aiden, and buckle down, because this could be quite a race tonight.
I think it will. I've actually got race belts in my seat that I have for my own sim racing, even though I don't use them, but they're there for looks. I'm all show, no go. So I might have to strap them on and get excited, because this is going to be a fantastic night of racing for round 2 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Of course, brought to you by RayWhite Rural Gayndah. Your reigning champion is leading the way here. It is Justin Witcher over Aaron Dillon and Barry Neal, your 3. So I just have to go back. My screen is just deciding to play tricks on me. So I'll do that and come right back to you. Here we go. This is going to help me. So there we go. That has definitely helped. So we're 10 laps into 134, Paul. As I said, Justin Witcher, Aaron Dillon and Barry Neal is your 3. Barry Neal is your 3 at the moment. We can see you all tuning in here on the InterSim Esports Network, ladies and gentlemen. We can see all your comments coming through. Let us know if you do want the InterSim Esports Network trivia back again tonight. If we do have more cautions, we'll be sure to bring that to you. We'll do it another way around tonight. We'll do it another time, a different way this time. Sorry, I'm just listening to stuff and talking at the same time. I am a male. I can't do 2 things at once, ladies and gentlemen. So bear with me. But if you want to ask the questions tonight to us, be sure to do that. So just don't know what I'm looking at here, but we're still under caution, and Paul's just G'ing me up here, ladies and gentlemen. He's just took away all my vision of the race just to G me up on purpose to give Mr. David Douglas a little bit of crap, as they say it, on the broadcast. So good on you. Thanks for that, Paul. But we're 11 laps into 134. Dave Douglas just said he wants to come up into the broadcast booth. He said that, I'm sure he did. But Dave, thanks for tuning in. It will be Witcher taking us to the pole, to the green this time around. Aaron Dillon on the outside. Barry Neal, Cade Donnelly will be the second row. Darren McKenzie, Raymond Yeager, the third row. Expect Darren McKenzie to make a move for the front of this one. Expect Barry Neal in the 22 to make a move to the front as well. But those Simboyos racing cars will have something to say about that. So we'll see how we go as Justin Witcher brings us to the green. The field is in his hands and he goes early. And we're green here for the second time tonight for round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. Justin Witcher with a great jump there. Barry Neal's now moved up into the second position over Aaron Dillon and Cade Donnelly. We've got Raymond Yeager sitting there in the 6th position, just in behind Darren McKenzie. Darren's got that run down the inside. We did see Justin Witcher when he made his move to the front earlier, Paul. He got a really good run on that inside line, and it looks like Darren McKenzie's doing likewise here as he's about to possibly take the second position away from the 22 of Barry Neal as they make their way through turns 1 and 2 once again. Raymond Yeager's seen that and gone, I want a bit of that too, Darren. I'm going to follow you through. So Raymond Yeager's trying to make that bottom line work as well, but the sacrifice you make on the bottom line, you don't quite get the run on the exit of the turn, as we see the outside line there just get the run off turns 2. Looks like Aaron Dillon got very close to the outside wall there through 3 and 4. That won't help him, and that's allowed Raymond Jaeger to get the job done on Aaron Dillon. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Battle for the lead of the motor race. Darren McKenzie still just persisting with that bottom line, and he's making that work as he's nearly up beside Justin Witcher. Barry Neal now just sitting in behind Justin, trying to just use that draft and sit there a little bit. There was nowhere for Barry to go there. He was just a little bit boxed in, so he just had to roll off that throttle down the back stretch, and now that's allowed Darren McKenzie to make that move on Justin Witcher, but they go across the strike that time, and Justin Witcher's going to lead another lap. Darren McKenzie got very close there, but have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Pinnacle Esports 1 and 3, Southern Stars Racing first. Paul, your teammate, not going to pronounce it, in 4th. Darren McKenzie's got the job done. Looks like Raymond Jaeger wants to have a lead of this motor race as well. Don't know if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, if they do lead a lap, they get a bonus point towards their championship standing. So Raymond Jaeger's just got one then by going around and leading a lap of this motor race. So that's going to help Raymond. So my pick, Paul, has just taken the lead of the motor race. Justin Witcher's just tucked in right in behind him. Darren McKenzie now stuck on that outside line with Barry Neal. Barry's just having a little bit of a watching brief there on the outside, just letting all this unfold in front of him. And there's the Sim Boys cars right in behind him. So you've got Aaron Dillon, Cade Donnelly and Gary Wellman. Scotty Rankin's up 7 spots, Paul. Scotty Rankin with a great outing last week. Got to speak to us in the broadcast booth, and he's up there into 7th position as well, or already tonight, and he's just making the move there by the looks of it on Gary Wellman through the 1 and 2 turns. Tries to anyway. He's going to have another go as they make their way down into turn 3 and 4. We do have Andy Barber there on the outside line. We spoke to Andy before he went into his qualifying session. He wouldn't have had the best qualifying by his own standards, qualifying in the 12th position, but he's up 3 positions into 9th. Currently in that top 10 that was his projected, what he thought or what he wanted to do tonight was just finish in the top 10 as Derek Jacobs, DJ. He's got some battle scars up the side of that 99 Southern Stars racing car, and Derek Jacobs is in the wars once again. So not a good start for Derek Jacobs. But have a look back to the front. Justin Witcher and Darren McKenzie 3rd and 4th. There's the battle, and there is the rivalry. I told you it wouldn't take long, and your reigning champion Justin Witcher and Darren McKenzie have found their way to each other on the racetrack once again. A little bit early to play ding-dong with each other at the moment. These two drivers love to not like each other. So we'll see how they go. The controversy that there was around Texas Motor Speedway when they were racing in another car in another series, but that ignited this battle, and we see the flame get reignited tonight here for round 2 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Let's go on board with your reigning champion, Justin Witcher, as this battle unfolds, and watch him tackle the back of the 02 Racing, Southern Stars Racing outfit of Darren McKenzie. So I've come back onto the mic a little bit earlier there, ladies and gentlemen, as we saw Justin Witcher make the move on Darren McKenzie, but Darren's just made that outside line work as Justin tried to give Barry Neal a big push down the back stretch, and you just saw the 02 put his car on the outside. You saw that bright blue car just come around the outside as they went through the 3 and 4 turns. So Darren got the jump over Justin Witcher, but we're cautioned for the second time tonight here for round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. So that's going to form them up once again. But let's go to the simracermerch.com instant replay and have a look at what brought out the second caution tonight here on the InterSim Esports Network. Okay, Philip Howe on the inside there of Joe Torcasio. They've made a little bit of an incident there, and Philip Howe's just launched up into the air. Brett Campbell there's just squeaked under that, so that would actually be a really good shot from the 015 Aussie Esports entry of Brett Campbell, as he's just made his way through there. Let's go back on board with Brett Campbell and have a look at what that did look like from the 015 Aussie Esports entry, as Philip Howe's just there in pit lane. We'll see whether we can bring those images to you, what it looked like as Howe went right over the top. So here we go, we're on board with Brett Campbell. There he is, just launched up into the air, and he could almost high-five him as he goes through. So he can high-five him as he goes through, and very lucky there for the 015 of Justin Witcher. Of Brett Campbell. Got Justin Witcher on my brain as I've been talking about him all race. But we've got the leaders jumping into pit lane at the moment. So Cade Donnelly, Aaron Dillon, everyone behind. But the four in front of, well, four people that didn't come into pit lane rather was Scott Rankin, Warwick Sharp, Max Riley and Adam Malone. Adam Malone did come through pit lane on lap 9 though, Paul. So he has had one visit to pit lane on lap 9. The three in front, Scott Rankin, Warwick Sharp and Max Riley haven't. So interesting little strategy there from those guys. And we'll see what they're thinking. But Scott Rankin, Warwick Sharp and Max Riley not going through pit lane. So Adam Malone's the first of the drivers currently that has been through pit lane. He went through, as I said, on lap 9. Darren McKenzie and all the other drivers behind him, and Darren McKenzie will start the restart out of the 5th position, just came through under caution. So don't believe they would have taken tyres with the way that this is set up tonight. Well, they under caution, Paul, really quickly. Let's just go through the track notes so the viewers can see what the drivers are dealing with here tonight for round 2 of the RayWhite Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. So here is the race notes for you, ladies and gentlemen. 134, 75% fuel, 1 set of tyres over the fence, 1 green light checker, of course, myself and Paul. In the broadcast booth, the track length is 1.5 miles or 2.41 kilometres, and it's 9:24 p.m. in the virtual time, but we'll go back because we're just about to go green next time around. So it looks like, you know, the yellow lights are still on the pace car. So it will be Scott Rankin, Warwick Sharp and Max Riley, your 3, coming in to the restart. So we'll see how these guys go on the restart. Adam Malone will be out of 4th, Darren McKenzie, Raymond Yeager 5th and 6th, Barry Neal 7th and 8th. Barry Neal 7th, Justin Witcher 8th rather. So watch that battle to reignite between Justin Witcher and Darren McKenzie when we grow green next time around. But Paul, I heard you say something in my ear before. I didn't quite catch that, mate. Well, feel free to say what you want to say, but I've just heard that in my ear. So what we'll do, we'll quickly bring up Scotty Rankin and have a chat to him. Scotty Rankin, Schultze and Paul in the broadcast booth, mate. We'll quickly grab you before you go green again. I hope you don't mind.
What's going on, boys?
Yeah, not a lot, mate. We're just here talking about what's been a good race. 2 cautions so far. You've got the 15 car up into the point as well. Had a good run last week for round 1. You, Warwick and Max are the only 3 not to come through pit lane of yet. Any reasoning behind that one?
Yeah, so effectively what I'm trying to do with the strategy right now is if you have a look at the track where I was, Gary Wellman's driving a beautiful race. I said this to him last week as well. We had a little bit of blue, and like I said, there's blood in the water with Gary, so sorted that out last week. Perfect, exactly what I wanted to do. And then he drove me real clean, but he pinched me heaps. So what I needed to do here was make sure that I got away from him, but still created a strategy that was going to pay dividends. Right now, we're probably another 30 laps on this tank. I needed the track position right now. I just needed to do something different. By following the leaders, I was going to end up with the leaders with no way to get by them because both lanes were clogged up. So that's what this strategy is about.
Okay, well, that makes sense. A little bit of track position that was about there. So we'll see how that plays out for you, Scott, mate. We'll let you go and concentrate. We can see you going down the back stretch at the moment, about to take the green for the third time tonight. So thanks for making yourself available, and hopefully we chat to you again up into the broadcast booth at the end of this one.
Yeah, man, this has been awesome, and big shout out to Warwick Sharp, who's, again, like I said, a rookie, but he's working with me here tonight. He's doing a great job.
No worries, mate. We'll let you go back and concentrate and take us to green once again. We'll talk to you a bit later.
Thanks, boys.
There you go, Paul. Just as we're about to go green, Scott Rankin having a chat to us here on the InterSim Esports Network. You can see him there in the number 15 on your screen. The pace car is just about to go into pit lane once again, and it will be that man, Scott Rankin, taking us to the green. Warwick Sharp on the outside. Scott Rankin jumping really early there, getting a good jump. Max Riley on the inside of the second row was absolutely asleep, and he got left for dead there on that restart. So it will be Scott Rankin, Warwick Sharp, Max Riley, Darren McKenzie will be that fourth car in line as they're too wide in behind. Darren McKenzie's wanting to make the move on Max Riley. You've also got Raymond Yeager there in the Pinnacle Esports Racing entry. He has Adam Malone. I haven't spoken about Adam tonight in the green entry, the Southern Stars Racing entry. He is now a part of this fixture. He's got Barry Neal and Raymond Yeager in front of him. Justin Witch is now just poking the nose up the inside of Adam Malone. You can see Aaron Dillon, the skid man, Aaron the skid Dillon. He's making his way up to the front as well, or trying to. But Darren McKenzie's now gone up to the second place, the 02 Southern Stars Racing car, always wanting to lead from the front, so he's making the move on Scott Rankin as we speak. The Pinnacle Esports Racing cars there. There's contact between Barry Neal and Warwick Sharp almost as they make their way through the tri-oval. I'm sure they exchanged a little bit of paint there as they went through the tri-oval. But Darren McKenzie still trying to get this job done on Scott Rankin through the 1 and 2 turns. Scott just holding it up there nice and tough on the outside line there, so he's not letting this one go easy. They will be on the same tyre strategy at this stage of the race, but a different fuel strategy. Scott Rankin just tried to pull back then and get... Oh, he's going for the switchback. I thought he was trying to sit in there and get a little bit of a draft, but Scott Rankin, he deliberately got off the throttle there and said, I'm going to go back under Darren. He's done the switchback through turns 3 and 4 and then on to the main stretches. Our camera's just had a little bit of a heart attack there. So you got... So we have Darren McKenzie on the outside. We've got Scotty Rankin on the inside. Just catches a little bit of apron there. Raymond Yeager's making his way forward. He's now got out of that little bit of a battle behind him. He's gone up into the third position. Warwick Sharp's still a part of this battle. He's gone back a little bit as well. Oh, God, they're racing good through 1 and 2. These Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries pilots give us some great action here on the InterSim Esports Network. And here, round 2 is definitely nothing different tonight. But it still is Darren McKenzie leading the way. That's about to change, ladies and gentlemen. Raymond Yeager and Scott Rankin still fighting for that second position at the moment. Raymond's gone up to that high side line, trying to get that one done. He's got it done through the tri-oval, but Scott Rankin's going to come back up at him, and it looks like Scott's having a go at Darren McKenzie for the lead of this one, as Scott got a great run through the tri-oval there. Raymond Yeager on the outside, still holding there. Will he be able to get past Scott Rankin as he sits in the draft down the back stretch? Nowhere that Raymond can go there. He just had to lift off the throttle. So Raymond just sitting there biding his time on the outside line. But this has allowed Barry Neal and Justin Witcher to get back into this battle as well. So they've ranged up on the back of this battle. Aaron Dillon will be a part of this shortly as well, as will Adam Malone in behind Aaron Dillon. So it is a 7-car battle for the lead of this motor race at the moment. So it's still Darren McKenzie leading the way, with Scott Rankin still just trying to make that bottom line work. He's there all by himself. He's trying to make it work. It's not going to be good for his tyres long term through this race, but we'll see how Scott Rankin manages this one, as Justin Witcher's just moved down to the inside line to give Scott a little bit of help through the tri-oval and into one this time past. So Justin Witcher trying to make the move for the front as well, and this is going to reignite that battle between Darren McKenzie very shortly, although Justin Witcher just was course, trying to work with Raymond Jaeger. Raymond thought about taking it 3 wide down the back straight as Barry Neal says, I'm going to. And there we go. There's 3 wide into 3 and 4 around Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm not sure how Barry Neal did not make contact. That did not work for the 22 entry of Barry Neal. Tried really hard, and I tell you what, that was almost a bin it or win it move because there was no room there. He had to almost go below the white or blue line, and Barry Neal looking very racy. Aaron Dillon just shutting the door on him, if you don't mind, saying, no, Barry, I saw what you just did to Scott Rankin. You're not doing it on me. So Aaron Dillon just shutting the door there. But it is Raymond Jaeger now making the move for the lead of this motor race. He's about to get past Darren McKenzie. Darren had to get out of the throttle there, coming off a 4. Otherwise, he would have had a big lick into the outside wall. There's Justin Witcher. Justin Witcher and Darren McKenzie, the magnet between the 0-2 and the 1. There it is once again. Justin Witcher just sitting back there in 4th. Scott Rankin still showing a lot of pace here in this one, holding that 3rd position. Cade Donnelly's coming as well. So Mr. Donnelly, Cade Donnelly out of Tasmania. Keep an eye on Cade Donnelly, 2nd in the championship last year, and always at the point of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Cade Donnelly in 5th position. Of course, we can't forget that amazing finish between him and Stephen Williams at the Indy 400 for what was the final round of Season 1. But this is round 2 of Season 2, and Raymond Jaeger, Darren McKenzie, Justin Witcher, Scotty Rankin still fighting out to see who wants the lead of this motor race. The Pinnacle Esports guys on the inside there trying to work together to get past the 0-2 Southern Stars racing car of Darren McKenzie. They're doing a great job there on the inside line, but so is Darren McKenzie. He's going to have a friend in Scott Rankin as well, I believe. Scott would probably much rather work with Darren, but in saying that, Scott Rankin just drops to the inside line. So Darren just left out a little bit by himself there, but he's going to get the draft on Raymond Jaeger down the back straight. So Pinnacle Esports 1 and 2, Southern Stars Racing 3. Raymond getting it a little bit wide there through 3 and 4. This has allowed Justin Witcher up the inside of him as well. So we're still too wide through the tri-oval. And it's going to remain this way, Paul, I think. These guys are running really good too wide. It looks like that inside line tries to get a run there, but then the outside line coming off each of the corners just gets that little bit of an extra run. So you can make the move down onto the entry of the corners, but then the outside line keeps coming back at you. And that's what produces some great racing around these oval tracks when we can see that happen. And it's great to see that happen tonight, Paul, and the drivers are doing a sensational job.
Definitely, I'm holding the edge of my seat, as I'm sure all these guys in their race cars are locked into their seat quite tightly. This is quite the ride around Charlotte Motor Speedway at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's the same guys at the front. There is a big battle pack there. There's about 18 cars involved in this at the moment. Well, let's go 16 because Pete Matson and Ian Quass are off the back of this one a further 10 seconds down on this battle. But you can see them there on screen still doing their thing. They came through pit lane on lap 23, the same as these leaders, but they've just dropped off the back of this battle pack. But we're back up with Gary Wellman at the moment. So Gary Wellman, he is sitting there in, I've got to find Gary Wellman on my timing screen. He's sitting in 11th position at the moment. So that's how far the battles go back for the lead of this motor race. Gary Wellman in 11th. He's got Warwick Sharp, who was up the front for this restart. He's dropped back into the 12th position in behind Gary Wellman at the moment. Gary's got the DPRSimrigs.com entry of Stephen Williams. He's in pursuit of him at the moment, so Stephen Williams is just taking that 10th spot at the moment. But back to the point, Raymond Jaeger has still got the lead of this motor race. Justin Witcher, Darren McKenzie right in behind Justin Witcher down the backstretch there. This is definitely going to heat up between these two. They're playing very gentlemanlike at the moment, but if it's the last lap of this race, I'll guarantee you there's going to be a little bit of elbows out. But Scott Rankin still sitting there in second place, Paul. He's doing a great job. He's holding down that second line or that inside line quite well. He's tried to go up to the top and use the outside line with a bit of help as well, and he's done that really well. So Scott Rankin, although he'll have to pit a little bit earlier than these guys, if this does go green to the first green flag pit stop, as he didn't come in he's 23 laps. He's got to come in 23 laps before, because all these drivers came in on lap 23. So he hasn't been through pit lane as yet. So he'll be coming into pit lane very, very shortly, and that'll put him off kilter with the rest of the field. But that definitely doesn't mean night over for the 15 of Scott Rankin. He did it to get out of position, or out of the position to be around Gary Wellman, and Gary's now making his way back up through the field. He's in 11th spot, and Gary having a great night out last week to take round 1. So Gary Wellman will be making his way up. Looks like Darren McKenzie's looking like he's getting very close to that turn 4 wall in that 0-2 car. Justin Witcher looks like he hit the wall there through 3 and 4 as well. So the cars are starting to get very loose off the 3 and 4 turns and coming up into that outside wall, which can bite you really, really quickly, as we saw there with Justin Witcher. But no harm, no foul. The number 1 defending champion looks like there's not a lot of damage there. He's looking okay, but he's getting very close to that outside wall through 3 and 4, as we saw Darren McKenzie get a good run on the entry there, but that's sacrificed him down through the tri-oval and allowed Aaron Dillon to now poke his nose up the inside and become a part of this race as well. So Aaron Dillon, he's never one to sit back on his heels and watch things play out in front of him, and watch him try and make a move to the front of this one as well. So Aaron Mr. Skid Dillon, as Dave Douglas does call him, or not Mr. Skid, but Dave Douglas, I know, will know what I mean with that. Aaron Dillon trying to make his way forward in this one. And he's doing just that very nicely, making his way up past Darren McKenzie into P4, and just moves that car up into the high side of the line. Couldn't quite get it done there properly, because Darren was having a good run through the mid-turn. Looks like he's got that done now, just as Darren McKenzie probably lifts off on that throttle a little bit to allow him in and not cause contact down the back stretch. But, well, these guys are too wide at the front. Let's go through some sponsors of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Of course, a big thank you to RayWhite Rural Gayndah, the naming rights sponsor of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. They were the naming rights sponsor for Season 1, and they're back on board for Season 2. So thank you so much to RayWhite Rural Gayndah. If you're up in the Sunshine Coast region of Queensland, or you're interstate and you're looking to buy investment property or relocate, or any of those type of means, if you're looking for real estate, whether it be through rental, whether it be through investment, whether you want to buy, any of those type of things, get in touch with RayWhite Rural Gayndah for all your real estate needs up in the Sunshine Coast region of Queensland. Of course, Witcher Electrics, Justin Witcher, your reigning champion, currently sitting in 3rd position, or having that battle but for the lead of this motor race rather. Based down in Victoria for all your commercial and domestic electrical needs. Support Witcher Electrics and Justin Witcher, family-owned business there, and support the people that support our iRacing community. Of course, the Sim Racing Edge. They supply all the setups for the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. So if you're after some setups for your iRacing vehicles, get onto the Sim Racing Edge, and they'll be sure to help you out. But here's the battle for the motor race. Scott Rankin's still on the outside there of Raymond Yeager, so Scott Rankin's moved himself up. They are coming up on some lap traffic, ladies and gentlemen, so they'll have to navigate their way through that one very shortly, but this battle is heating up at the front. So Raymond Yeager, Scott Rankin, Aaron Dillon, Justin Witcher, Kate Donnelly, Darren McKenzie, your 6th. Barry Neal just sitting back there in 7th at the moment. Troy Davidson, 8th. Adam Malone, Gary Wellman, your 10th. Gary Wellman, your 10. Stephen Williams. Oh, we've had a bit of contact through 3 and 4 there. Lucky to get away with that one. Darren McKenzie had contact through 3 and 4. Not sure if that was with Justin Witcher. It looked like Justin just got into the back of his teammate Raymond. Darren really didn't have anywhere to go there, and that was very lucky not to end in tears. But we're still green. Scott Rankin's got the jump on this one as he's coming up on Greg Spencer, I believe that looks like there, in the Pinnacle Esports racing car or racing entry. So Greg Spencer now going a lap down in this one. Scott Rankin still leading the way over Raymond Yeager as they make their way across the strike one more time. Aaron Dillon's now moved up into the 3rd position over Justin Witcher. Cade Donnelly, the ever-consistent Cade Donnelly in the Supercars round oval, rounding out your 5. Barry Neal back into this one as well in the 6. So let's just run through your order here as you can see it on screen with all the drivers that are currently not a lap down. So Scott Rankin, Raymond Yeager, Aaron Dillon, Justin Witcher, Cade Donnelly, your 5. Barry Neal, Darren McKenzie, Gary Wellman, Troy Davidson, Adam Malone, your 10. Andy Barber, Warwick Sharp, Stephen Williams, Max Riley, Matty Simpson, your 15, and the final 2 on the lead lap is Brett Campbell and Pete Matson. So Andy Barber, we can see there we're on board with the number 5, or watching the number 5 Southern Stars Racing entry of Andy Barber. He does have Adam Malone just in front of him at the moment. This is the battle for 10th and 11th in the motor race so far, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll see whether Andy Barber can make the move on his teammate. Let's go on board again, once again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it this time with the 5 of Andy Barber as he's just about to make the move and does so on his teammate of Adam Malone. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a little bit of cockpit time with Andy Barber, albeit pretty brief. You can see how quick he was visually narrowing that gap down on Troy Davidson, Gary Wellman, and Darren McKenzie in the battle in front of him for the lead of the motor race. So expect Andy Barber, now that he's made the move on Adam Malone, to move that number 5 Southern Stars Racing car up into this nice, juicy little battle for the lead of the motor race. Scott Rankin's dropped back a little bit now as Raymond Yeager and Justin Witcher have gone 1-2 in this one. Cade Donnelly's moved up into 3rd position. Aaron Dillon's just hanging tough there on the outside line of Scott Rankin. Barry Neal looking for a way past at the moment. He's sitting about mid-track. He's looking racy. He's looking like he's wanting to get up and have a little bit of a go. We saw how aggressive he was earlier with that almost do-or-die move, I could say, when he put it down the inside of Scott Rankin, and now he's on the outside. He drifts up very high through 3 and 4, allowed Darren McKenzie to get on the back of him, and Scott Rankin's now blinked. This is the time Scott Rankin's had to come into pit lane, so he's out of fuel. So they're 59, nearly 60 laps into 134. There's a tank of fuel, ladies and gentlemen, and he had a couple under caution, so we can expect around about that 56 to 58 laps. So with that, and if I can do my calculations right, if this goes green, we're going to see these guys pit approximately lap 80 to 81. So we'll see how that goes and whether these guys can actually get into pit lane, Paul, because if they keep racing like this, it's definitely going to be interesting seeing these guys try and navigate their 650 horsepower supercars into pit lane while they're too wide.
Yeah, it could be a hectic pit stop under green flag, that's for sure. I'm sure there could be some penalties. Aaron Dillon getting really loose there, popping out, looking like he wants to take the lead of this race.
Yeah, he definitely does, and he's done just that. So Aaron Dillon, Mr. Skids, now made his way to the point. Aaron Dillon having a good run, a great one. He had a great run in round 1, Paul. He finished in about 5th position, I believe, from memory. I could be wrong, as Raymond Yeager's getting a good run there on the outside through 1 and 2. Looks like he's going to get that job done as they make their way off the turn and down the back stretch once again. But Aaron Dillon having a good run in, oh, they're going 3 wide. Let's get back to that because this is a juicy little battle. Justin Witcher 3 wide with Cade Donnelly and Barry Neal there for 3rd place in this one. Looks like Justin Witcher's got the better of that little battle for the moment, and that's moved him back up into the 3rd place. So Cade Donnelly couldn't quite get that one done. Justin Witcher going very low there, just clipping the apron through 1 and 2, which would unstable that motor car, and it's done that because you can see Barry Neal getting a nice little run on the outside there, pushing Aaron Dillon, but Aaron Dillon's now just been passed by Raymond Yeager once again. So it's a little bit of tit for tat at the front of this one between Raymond Yeager, Aaron Dillon, Justin Witcher. Barry Neal he's stuck in that outside line. He has been for about 20, 30 odd laps. Barry's been stuck there. Apart from that time, Paul, that we saw him make that really, really aggressive move on Scott Rankin, he's pretty much sat there the whole race. So we'll see whether that'll pay off for the 22 of Barry Neal. As we're 3 wide down the back stretch, they're trying to navigate through back lap traffic as well. Raymond Yeager's just done that. Looks like Barry Neal might have got up into the wall through 3 and 4. He was very close to it if he didn't, and looks like he's dropping back, so it looks like he might have took a little bit more than he could chew through 3 and 4, and the 22 might have just got into the outside wall through 3 and 4. So that's allowed Darren McKenzie to make the move on him. It's also allowed Scotty Rankin up there as well. So Scotty is a lap down. Keep an eye out for Scott Rankin. He's a lap down at the moment. He's on an alternate strategy to these guys, but these guys are going to have to pit. You can see how much these cars are now starting to push through 3 and 4, as we saw Justin Witcher do what Barry Neal did, and did a great job to keep it off the 3 and 4 wall. And he nearly did that, but he's now hemorrhaging positions, and he's gone back to the 5th position. It's a little bit confusing at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, as there are lap cars that they're trying to navigate their way past. Cade Donnelly just doing that now on, might be Ash Nesser, I'm not quite sure on the entry. I can't quite see his number, but Warwick Sharp there, sorry, that was actually up the front of this motor race earlier. So Cade Donnelly now navigated his way through. Aaron Dillon has, Gary Wellman has. Now Justin Witcher has made the move on that back marker as well. And it looks like Troy Davidson's now going to get that one done through 1 and 2 this time well around. Barry Neal definitely did hit the wall there, Paul, out of turn 3 and 4. He's hemorrhaging positions, and he is back in 7th. I know I say hemorrhaging, but he was up there early in this motor race, and now he's about the 1 point, or about 1 second off Troy Davidson in the 6th spot at the moment.
Well, I'm sure it's not the last we'll see of Barry in this race, as we did see Andy Barber make a great comeback from being a little length away at similar gaps, so definitely not over for Barry yet.
No, it's definitely not over for Barry. It's never over until the lady sings, as they say. So don't write off the 22 of Barry Neal. We know he's got the talent. Just does he have the car under him to be able to do that tonight after that little bit of an incident? We'll see how that goes if this does stay green. I don't suspect it will, though, Paul, because as we used to here on the Intersim Esports Network, we could get up to 5 laps to go and keep going green. And there's always a little twist in the script, as they say, a little bit of a twist. We think it's going to happen one way, and then they put an encore on, and it totally changes to what we think it will. So don't be surprised if it does do that tonight. But still, as we're currently going around, we're still green. It is Raymond Yeager and Cade Donnelly with Justin Witcher and Aaron Dillon in 3rd and 4th. So Raymond Yeager and Cade Donnelly fighting for the 1st position at the moment. You can see Scotty Rankin there on the outside line. Scotty Rankin is a lap down. He's on fresher boots at the moment. He's come in pit lane last on lap number 58. Stephen Williams on that similar strategy as well. He's through pit lane on lap 62. Scott Rankin's actually 2 laps down on the relative, Paul. I can see that now. So when these drivers come in and pit, and I suspect it to be around about the lap 80 or early 80s, these lead drivers will come into pit lane. You'll see those guys, the likes of Ash Nesser, Steve Williams, Scott Rankin and Warwick Sharp, get their laps back and possibly take the lead of the motor race. I'm sure the undercut would be quite big with this tyre model and the way that it happens, but it's also being oval, track position, draft, all those things which will play a part in this as well. So that's a battle to keep one little eye on as this race unfolds in front of us. But I tell you what, Raymond Yeager and Cade Donnelly having a nice little ding-dong battle for 1st position here. Every time someone makes the move, the other one plays return service. We can just make a reference to tennis, as I I like to make reference to different little sports as we commentate on motorsport. So it's now 15 all between Cade Donnelly and Raymond Yeager as they make their way through the 1 and 2 turns this time round. We could almost say they're playing doubles at the moment, because you've got Scott Rankin with some mad connection problems there in the background, as we saw him have a big blink down the back straight, which made Gary Wellman go right down on the inside, and you can see Scott Rankin's completely disappeared on the outside there. So don't be surprised if Scott Rankin doesn't. Oh no, he's come back now. So Scott Rankin's still going around. He disappeared from my timing sheets at the moment, so I thought his internet had stopped, and that was night over for Scott Rankin. So he's still going around. He's still part of this one. But here is the battle for the lead. Still between Cade Donnelly and Raymond Yeager. Justin Witcher's pulled right up to the back of this one. Here's another lap car in front of him as well. He's just dropped down into pit lane. Brett Campbell didn't. Oh, he did a good job to pull that up, because I thought he was going to come straight back up on the track. Brett Campbell coming off a great win the other night around Daytona for what was his first league win in his whole iRacing, to be honest, and of course since coming across to Aussie Esports. So he'd be coming off a high, but he's just having a little bit of a tricky night tonight in the 0-1-5. He was on the lead lap before he came into pit then, so we will see where that happens. Raymond Yeager was dropped back into 5th position now, so lap traffic playing a big part in this one. Cade Donnelly and Justin Witcher now fighting for the front, with Gary Wellman, Troy Davidson and Aaron Dillon. Aaron Dillon dropping backwards as well. He's still battling with Raymond Yeager there for the 5th and 6th spot. So they might have gone a little bit too hard too early. You can see Cade Donnelly and Justin Witcher and Gary Wellman just making it a little bit of a break. I can't say it's too big here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, because as quick as they make 0.8 of a second, that's closed up before we can even say boo. So Cade Donnelly, Gary Wellman, Justin Witcher leading the way. Troy Davidson in 4th position there. So those Sim Boys cars, 1, 2 and 4, it's exactly what we come to expect here for the RayWhite Royal Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. Justin Witcher a little bit of a duck out of water at the moment, as Raymond Yeager's just dropped off the back of this little battle. So he's doing this on his lonesome at the moment. So Pete Matson's just come into pit lane out of the 11th position as well. So Pete Matson's into pit lane. Raymond Yeager said no more. I need pits as well. I need to come into pit lane. So Raymond Yeager, after going down a couple of positions, has gone, no, enough's enough, and he's come into pit lane out of the 7th position. So we'll see where that puts Raymond Yeager, but more importantly, let's see what these front guys do and when they're going to blink and come through and service their motor vehicles through pit lane under green flag conditions. So Cade Donnelly's in the preferred line at the moment if he decides to do that in the next couple of laps, with Gary Wellman on the outside, Justin Witcher on the inside. He's also got Troy Davidson. He's bang into this battle. Barry Neal's back up as well, Paul. Barry Neal's ranged back up onto the back of this battle. So obviously that damage is not playing as much of a part in the 22 of Barry Neal as I once first thought. He might have just been sitting back there, biding his time and keeping his tyres under him. As we can see, Cade Donnelly coming into pit lane. Justin Witcher will follow him into pit lane as well. We'll see whether they get into pit lane nice and safely as they disappeared from our screen. So that gives Gary Wellman the lead of the race over Troy Davidson and Barry Neal. Andy Barber, the old Coca-Cola assassin, as I used to call him, now Southern Stars Racing or Esports Racing. He's made his way up into the 4th position after starting 12th. He is 5 seconds off the battle for the lead of the motor race, mind you, but he's in a great position at the moment, sitting there in 4th. He's on the same pit strategy as the people in front of him and the people that have pitted. But Barry Neal now has decided to blink, and he's come into pit lane, and has Andy Barber that I just mentioned. So he's decided to take his mandatory pit stop this time around as well. This will be their last pit stop, ladies and gentlemen. They will be filled to the end. So this will be their set of tyres, and they are good to go. So we'll see when these lead drivers, Gary Wellman and Troy Davidson, decide to take their pit stop. The longer that Troy Davidson's now in pit lane, Darren McKenzie's in pit lane as well. So the only one left to go is Cade Donnelly. How much will this hurt? How much will this hurt Gary Wellman in the 45 by staying out longer on those tyres. How much will it hurt him? He's going down the inside now, so expect him to pit this time around as Brett Campbell makes his way around the outside. So watch the 45 come into pit lane this time around. He does exactly that. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the whole field pretty much ready to go to the end, except for Scotty Rankin and Scott Rankin and Warwick Sharp. They're 58 and 59. Stephen Williams, 62 in regards to laps that they the last time they came through pit lane. So that if this goes green, they'll have to go through pit lane again, and that will not help them with their strategy. But a late caution could help them. But let's go back and see what's happening now. So Gary Wellman is still in pit lane. Troy Davidson's now come out of pit lane. Justin Witcher's is out of pit lane as well. So everyone's out of pit lane. We're on board with Stephen Williams at the moment. Stephen Williams is third on the racetrack. He last came through pit lane on lap 62. So if we think around about that 40 to 40, what was it? Oh, it was actually around about that 50 mark, actually. We're looking at about lap 112, something like that, or maybe a bit longer, that Stephen Williams will have to come in and serve his pit stop to get to the end. So we'll see how that plays out. Of course, as I said, Scott Rankin on the same strategy as him, as is Warwick Sharp. So caution will help them, but it will definitely help them because they wouldn't have got tyres as yet. I wouldn't suspect they would have got tyres yet. They might have, because it was such a long run that they had to do through the centre. But if somehow they've decided or somehow kept that set of tyres over the fence, if we do get a caution, they are going to be in the box seat. But there's a lot to play out before we get to that chapter of the book as we write it here for round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. It is Barry Neal on screen at the moment. He's currently in that second place ahead of Stephen Williams. But have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Your championship leader, he came through pit lane. He's got a 9-second gap on the rest of the field. I can give you the answer to this though, ladies and gentlemen. His time through pit lane, or his stationary time in pit lane, was 23.82 seconds as opposed to Barry Neal's of 33.73. All the other drivers from 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, the likes of Raymond Yeager, Aaron Dillon, Kay Donnelly, Troy Davidson, etc., were all around that 34, 35 second mark. So Justin Witcher didn't take tyres. That tells me Justin Witcher didn't take tyres. 10 seconds quicker through pit lane. He mustn't have taken tyres. There's just no rhyme or reason for that. So interesting there for Justin, but we'll see whether this strategy pays off, because he does have a 9-second gap on Barry Neal at the moment, and he is fueled to go to the end. So he might be banking on that strategy too, Paul, that I said that if there is a late caution or a caution in the next 20 or 25 laps, he's going to have a nice green set of boots underneath him. So we'll see how that plays out. He's still keeping that gap, though, at about that 9.5 seconds over Barry Neal and Stephen Williams. So they're not really gaining on him at the moment. So great strategy so far by your reigning champion, the number 1 of Witcher. Raymond Yeager, though, his teammate, who we saw battle earlier in this race for the lead, he's still in the 4th position. He's now trying to catch up on Stephen Williams. The DPRSimRigs.com entry. So Raymond Yeager's in 4th. He's chasing down Stephen Williams, who's 0.8 of a second up the road from Raymond at the moment. So that gap is staying there at about the 0.8 of a second. Last time round, Stephen Williams, 31.46 opposed to a 30.92 of Raymond Yeager, and that's why Raymond Yeager has just passed him through 1 and 2 like he was standing still. And good by Stephen Williams, Raymond says, and Raymond's up into the 3rd position. Kay Donnelly now making the move on Stephen Williams. So that's the difference in new tyres, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it right there. Stephen Williams just getting left behind a little bit as he's on that alternate strategy. So Stephen Williams is going to come into pit lane ever so soon, I'd suggest. In approximately around about another 10 to 20 laps, he'll want to come into pit lane, but he'll try and extend it as long as he can and hopefully get a late caution in this one. But Justin Witcher still with that 9.5 second gap at the front. So he's doing a great job being able to maintain that gap over Barry Neal. Last time around, they were identical, 31.21 for Witcher and a 31.02 0.21 for Barry Neal. Then they've just clocked over another one actually, and Barry was about a tenth of a second quicker than Justin. Justin did the identical as the previous lap with 31.21, Barry with a 31.13. Raymond Yeager with a 31.06, but fastest lap of the motor race last lap around, or fastest lap last lap around, was your fourth place getter of Cade Donnelly. So watch out for Cade Donnelly. He's making a little bit of a charge back to the podium in this one. But Matty Simpson getting some airtime there with the DJR Team Penske livery. Great livery there, and another win for DJR Team Penske today down in Sydney for the Supercars. Good to see the Supercars back on TV in real life too, as you watch them here in the E-Series. So Ian Quassers came through pit lane. Warwick Sharp has. Darren McKenzie's in pit lane as well. So Darren McKenzie, the 02 of Darren McKenzie's gone in for another stop in this one. So we'll see how that plays out for Darren as he's in pit lane. But that battle, we've got Cade Donnelly here. So Cade Donnelly, after setting those quick laps, has ranged right up onto the back of Raymond Yeager, and he's now making a run for the third position. You can see Barry Neal. We don't need to say the gap in time because you can physically see that gap between Raymond Yeager and Barry Neal just in front of this little battle. So this battle here is for the second and third spots on the dais tonight. So it is Barry Neal with Raymond Yeager and Cade Donnelly. They do have a lap car up in front of them as well that they're going to have to navigate as they make their way down the back stretch. We'll see if they can get that done through the 3 and 4 turns as that car is blinking, having a few internet connection issues there. That is Sean Hart, and he is completely gone. He'll be saying to the guys on the radio, guys, I'll just stay high. But I tell you what, there is nothing more scary driving around these tracks at 300 kilometres an hour with a car blinking on the outside, because even if it's blinking, iRacing still says it's there, and you can get into a little bit of trouble and get some contact. So good to see that the drivers navigate their way through that lap traffic there, and it allows this battle to re-engage. And Raymond Yeager's now making the move up the inside of Barry Neal for that second position. He's going to pull Cade Donnelly along with him as Cade gets a nice little launch there off the 3 and 4 turns and makes that move on Barry Neal as well. So Cade Donnelly up into the third position. He's not going to want to sit behind Raymond Yeager much longer, I'd suggest, but all this battling is helping Justin Witcher at the front. In these last couple of laps, well, these guys have been battling and passing lap traffic. It's allowed Justin Witcher to extend that lead at the front to nearly 11 seconds. It's now out to 10.8 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. So it's nearly 1/3 of a lap of Charlotte Motor Speedway that Justin Witcher has over the rest of the field at the moment. So we'll see how that plays out on strategy. But Troy Davidson and Aaron Dillon, Paul, they've joined the battle as well now. They're up into the 5th and 6th position. So it is now a battle of 5 for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th in this motor race. Your man Barry Neal doing a great job, still holding on the outside there, Paul, after having a little bit of contact early. But exactly as you said, mate, you weren't going to write him off, and you definitely were right to say that.
Yeah, even though I'm a Holden man, we build our race cars, built Ford tough, so Barry Neal doing a good job there, still up in podium contention there, which the sprint to this finish is going to be an action-packed one, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because I'm a Ford man. You're a Holden man, I'm a Ford man. I know you've got a nice older school Holden that you drive around and a bit of a casual drive, mate. So you've sent me a couple of videos of that, and it's a very nice car at that, albeit me being a Ford man. So you can see Barry Neal, he said driving the Ford. Well, when I race the supercars in the iRacing platform, I actually drive a Holden, so go figure how we do that. So in real life, we like our Fords and our Holdens, and then we come race them in the e-racing world, and we don't even actually race our favourite car, so go figure that. But anyway, back to the battle, and enough talking about my gibberish that I go on about night in, night out. It is Cade Donnelly. Troy Davidson has now made that jump, and he's moved up, and he's battling for the 3rd position over Raymond Yeager, who's sitting on that outside line there. So Troy Davidson trying to get up in behind Cade Donnelly, his teammate, and make it a Sim Boys 2 and 3. It's not going to be made that easy, though, by Raymond Yeager. He showed a lot of pace all night tonight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and nothing has changed as he gets very close to the turn 4 wall there, as we've seen a couple of cars do tonight, but he just keeps it off that turn. We'll see whether Raymond can keep the tyres on the 23 entry. Stephen Williams has just had to come in and serve that pit stop, ladies and gentlemen. So he's now in pit lane. So him and Scott Rankin, the ones that were off strategy or off their strategy with the rest of the field, Stephen Williams has now come into pit lane. Expect Scott Rankin in the next couple of laps to join him on doing that as well. So they will now be filled to be able to go to the end of this one, but they are off. They are off strategy with the rest. But as I say that, I can see on my live timing, Scott Rankin has just come into pit lane. So there we go. It's happened exactly as I thought. Last time the leaders came through pit lane was on lap 78, 76, 78, 79. So about the 54 laps to 56 laps that they needed to get out of the tank. Not sure if they're going to get there, but at this stage, we will see, because we haven't really got a good indication on how many laps they actually get out of a green flag run, because we did have that caution, or those 2 cautions early in this one. That really throws out the fuel numbers, as they're able to save some fuel under the caution rather, by clutching it and turning the engine off and all those like. See, some people don't have the ignition switches on, some people do, but you can actually turn the engine off while you're under caution rolling around to save some fuel. So some people might have done that one, but don't take your eyes off this battle, ladies and gentlemen. It is between Cade Donnelly, Raymond Yeager, Barry Neal, Troy Davison, Aaron Dillon, Gary Wellman is about 8 seconds off this battle. So your round 1 winner is in 7th spot at the moment. That's how tight this RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries is. Anyone can win it. Anyone that shows up can take home the W. But, Paul, it's that time of the night. We're over 100 laps in. We're about to get all hyped up and ready to bring you the final closing laps of the Australasian Supercar eSeries Round 2. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, as I just got a frog in my throat. I apologise for that. But we haven't done InterSim Esports Network trivia tonight. Let's do a quick trivia question. We'll keep it nice and short and sharp, because this is going to fire up really quickly. We're going to have to bring you to the end, but let's leave it to the viewers. If you're tuning in here on the InterSim Esports Network, we can see you commenting. Thank you so much for that. We will get back to you and talk to you when we get a second, but go across, and one of you's first in best dress, shoot me and Paul a question, and it can be any type of random trivia. Give us a bit of trivia before we bring you the final closing stages of what is round 2 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Will it be Justin Witcher, who's 12.7 seconds up the road of this battle, which is between Cade Donnelly, Raymond Yeager, Troy Davison, Barry Neal and Aaron Dillon? So will it be Justin Witcher, your reigning and defending Series 1 champion, taking out round 2? He podiumed round 1. I believe, no, he didn't podium round 1, but he was up there in round 1. He's showing his pace here in round 2. Will it be him? Could it be Cade Donnelly? Could he go to the front? Could Raymond Yeager jump across? Could he get his first win? But have a look. This is a story of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Witcher, you can clearly see he's got damage on the outside front of that number 1 Pinnacle Esports Racing entry, and he is visibly slowing down. I can see the interval on my live timing dropping as we see. The only thing is keeping him up to pace at the moment is Darren McKenzie with his draft. So I'm slowly seeing it drop down. It's dropping down about 1/10 every corner, Paul. So that outside right front will be hurting. Definitely will be hurting for the number 1. Can he keep it going? Can he hold on to this 11, now down to 11.5 seconds? So just in that lap, it was 1/2 second. So I'll give you the times, ladies and gentlemen. Last time round, it was a 31.55 from Justin Witcher. Cade Donnelly around with a 31.3. Raymond Yeager a 31.3. So they took 2.5 tenths of a second out of your race leader last time round the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Not quite enough to be able to catch back up on this lead gap at the moment. If we go green all the way to the end, they will fall a little bit short, but it definitely is closing at the front, Paul.
Yeah, very interesting. I'd love to know what actually happened there. Don't have that available to go back and actually see what happened there. But yeah, this could be something to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on that timing board there. Keep an eye on that gap. As if Justin does fall off the back of Darren McKenzie, Scott Rankin there, it could be bit of trouble for him, but looks like he's just using that toe, and he's sort of just holding on to that gap at the moment now.
Yeah, he is. So I've just had a look at that myself, mate, and it was down to about that 11.3, and it's now going the other way, so it's going north. It's up to 11.8 seconds. Last time round, Justin's pulled out a 31.19. We'll just wait that 11 or 12 seconds till Cade Donnelly comes across the strike, and we'll see what he done last time around. And he's just pulled out a 31.45. So Justin Witcher's just put 3/10 on this second battle group at the moment. So it doesn't look like that battle or that incident that he did have with that right front really made much of a difference. I know, as you said, he does have that little bit of a toe in front of him with Darren McKenzie and Scotty Rankin, but it's definitely helping him there, and he's extending that lead at the front now. It's now gone to over 12 seconds.
Yeah, the toe there is definitely taking effect, and the battle here between Cade and Raymond is definitely going to help Justin out to pull that gap away again.
Yeah, it definitely will. It most definitely will. The more that these guys battle for this second and third position. And Justin Witcher now into pit lane. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the story of the race. It's all playing out right in front of us now. Justin Witcher has come into pit lane. We're 113 laps, or 112 laps into 134. These guys can't make it to the end. So these guys in second and third, fourth and fifth, expect these guys to pit as well anytime soon. Justin Witcher's going to have a 30-second pit stop here, or the likes, or a bit of a longer pit stop, because he was shorter in that second run. So this is where the story of round two is, right here, right now, ladies and gentlemen. Don't take your eyes off our screens here on the InterSim Esports Network. Raymond Yeager is the incumbent leader of this race now over Cade Donnelly, Barry Neal, Aaron Dillon and Troy Davidson. Expect those guys to come into pit lane. Justin Witcher's stationary time through pit lane was a 17.2 seconds. So Justin Witcher, he's gone a lap down at the moment. Don't worry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Raymond Yeager, Cade Donnelly, Barry Neal, Aaron Dillon, all those players still need to come through pit lane. So what's their stationary time going to be, and will they be able to make up anything on Justin Witcher through their pit stop? So keep this number in the back of your head, ladies and gentlemen. 17.2 seconds. I would suggest the longer that these guys are able to run under these green flag conditions allows them to run through pit lane a lot quicker than Justin Witcher. It looked like Raymond Yeager moved to the inside there. I thought that was going to line him up to come into pit lane through 3 and 4. He's not doing it this time around, so it's another time around for Raymond Yeager in the lead of this motor race. He's got Cade Donnelly pestering the back spoiler of that Pinnacle Esports car in the second position. So the magic number, 17.2 seconds. These guys definitely will be stationary through pit lane, shorter than Justin Witcher. So where will that put them when they come back out into this motor race? No. So I wish I could have told you, ladies and gentlemen, how many laps it was for a fuel stint, but with those early cautions, I didn't quite get my head around that. But I can almost guarantee you, with Justin Witcher coming into pit lane when he was on the same strategy as these guys behind, these guys have to pit. They will still have to come in. Justin Witcher, the first car, a lap down at the moment. So he came on in pit lane on lap 111. These guys have now gone several laps longer than Justin Witcher. So we now go into lap 117. So they've gone 6 laps longer than Justin. This is definitely going to be a shorter stationary time for these two drivers in the lead of this motor race. Barry Neal's just dropped off the back of this little battle here now. He's still in third position. That's what 1 second looks like, ladies and gentlemen. That's the gap between Barry Neal and Cade Donnelly, who's in on screen at the moment. So Barry Neal, just off the back of this one, he's got Troy Davidson over the back of him, and then Aaron Dillon's a further second behind them as well. Andy Barber's fallen back a little bit. He's 10 seconds behind Aaron Dillon, who's holding down the 5th position in this one. Raymond Yeager getting really low there through the 3 and 4 through the 1 and 2 turns. Barry Neal's got his work cut out now as Troy Davidson's really closing right up onto the back of him. He is pulling Aaron Dillon along as well, but Aaron Dillon's about to... But here it is, Cade Donnelly's blinked. Cade Donnelly's in pit lane, so's Aaron Dillon. They've pitted on the same lane. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the story of the motor race. Keep an eye on your screens. Do not turn off the IndySim Esports Network, because this is where it all comes down to. Will Justin Witcher get the track position? Will Raymond Yeager, Cade Donnelly, Aaron Dillon? Raymond Yeager's still not in yet, mind you, but will Cade Donnelly and Aaron Dillon and Cade Donnelly are in pit lanes? We'll give you those stationary times, and I can see those stationary times, and they are going to be jumped by Justin Witcher. So their stationary times are 9 and 10 seconds respectively. So they are going to be they're going to pull nearly 10 seconds on Justin Witcher. So Justin Witcher 17.2. Cade Donnelly was a 9.27. So that's 8 seconds quicker than Justin Witcher. But Cade Donnelly still currently is, with my live timing, in behind Justin Witcher, a lap down. That will correct itself very, very shortly. So we'll see what that actual gap is. I can see it's around about that 2 seconds, but I'll let it catch up before I get too excited here on the IndySim Esports Network. But what I'm interested about here, Paul, Raymond Yeager running really, really long here. Raymond Yeager with really, really good strategy in everything he races, and he's showing tonight. Will this pay off for the 23, and will he be able to get his first W in the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries for quite a long time? We haven't seen the 23 up in the box for a long time. The only time that we have is when he come up and he lent us his dulcet tones for a couple of rounds while he had a few issues with his steering wheel and all that type of stuff. So Raymond Yeager, one of the admins of this league, doing a great job. He's now got 2.8 seconds on Troy Davidson. Just want to have a look there. Matty Simpson's now moved up into 6th place. He's a lap down. He's the first car a lap down, but he came through pit lane on lap number 78. So he's not going to be able to get to the end either, I'd suggest. So he might be out of this one. But let's have a look. The gap between Justin Witcher and Cade Donnelly is 5 seconds. So Cade Donnelly chopped that gap in half. So before Justin Witcher came in and served his stop, he was nearly out to 12 seconds over Cade Donnelly and Raymond Yeager. Now the gap is just 5 seconds as Cade Donnelly served his stop. So Raymond Yeager's now, it looked like, no, he hasn't come into pit lane yet. So Raymond's not going to have to stop for very long at all. Neither will Troy Davidson, but Raymond Yeager's extending that gap over Troy Davidson at the moment to 3 seconds. So Paul, the strategy's playing for Raymond at the moment. Do you think he's got enough? Do you think he's got enough car pace still to be able to stop Justin Witcher from gaining the track position? And will he be able to jump Justin Witcher through this pit stop?
Well, Raymond definitely has the pace tonight, but I'm thinking there's a lot of fuel saving going on behind Raymond as Troy Davidson, Barry Neal's dropping right off this pace. And last time through, so Cade Donnelly actually had a pit stop at lap 78 and he pitted again at 118. However, Raymond's pit stop last was 76, so Raymond had 2 laps earlier than Cade Donnelly. However, Troy Davidson lap 80 and Barry Neal lap 79. Also, Andy Barber 79 and Gary Wellman 81. So those extra couple of laps and a bit of fuel saving, I'm wondering if these guys behind can get home without needing to stop again with some fuel saving.
Yeah, I would actually second your thoughts there, Paul, because looking at those last lap times that you did mention, Barry Neal's a good 1 second a lap slower than Raymond Yeager at the point of this motor race at the moment, or the lead of the motor race rather. Last lap around, Troy Davidson, mind you, did match his time, but we're on board with Barry Neal at the moment. So let's turn up your volume for the 22 entry of Barry Neal. Let's do a couple of laps before we bring you the end of this one and go on board and listen and see whether he is saving fuel as Raymond Yeager comes into pit lane to service stop. So we can see there, we'll stay on board with him, ladies and gentlemen. Well, he goes around Charlotte Motor Speedway. You can see him in 6th gear. He's nowhere near revving out the engine, and he's clutching it as he goes through the turns. So Barry Neal trying to nurse this 22 car to the finish of this motor race without having to do a pit stop. Will this work out for Barry Neal? Troy Davidson is in the lead of the motor race, so he's 8 seconds up the road. He's got an extra lap of fuel than Barry Neal. He came through pit lane on lap 80. Barry came through on lap 79. Andy Barber's now moved up into third as well. He came through on lap 79. So, is Andy Barber saving fuel as well last time around? He was a second quicker than Barry Neal. So, he may not be saving fuel at the moment. So, let's see how this all plays out. We do know that the 22 is saving fuel. Will he be able to make it to the end? Will Troy Davidson have enough in the 23, 023? Will he have enough to make it to the end? He's got the Pinnacle, he's in a Pinnacle Esports sandwich at the moment. Take no notice of those laps down because this is the story of the race. This time past the strike, there is 4 laps to go. 141 of 134. Barry Neal, we know, is clutching. He's going to struggle to make it to the end. He's trying to make it to the end. We know Troy Davidson's got enough fuel, or he's got 1 extra lap of fuel than Barry Neal. Not sure whether he's clutching, but this draft is definitely going to help Troy Davidson. He has an 11-second gap over Barry Neal at the moment. That gap now for third place. Barry's in big trouble because that gap between Andy Barber and him is dropping at a great rate of knots. It's coming down a second a corner. So Andy Barber should be saving fuel as well. He might have done that earlier when we didn't know. That's why he was 12 seconds down. So Andy Barber now coming up. He's in third place. He's now dropped that gap to a second behind Barry Neal, and it is coming down. Andy Barber's about to take the second place. Let's go have a look at that, Paul. Andy Barber about to take the second place over Barry Neal, and he's now going to do that down the back stretch. Barry Neal's gone. That is out. Barry Neal out. Night done. He is rolling around. So Barry Neal is out of the frame of this one. Andy Barber's taken second. This is a battle for second and third, ladies and gentlemen. That's Gary Wellman. Gary Wellman should be good to go. He was lap 81, so he's going to want to get up and make this move for the second place and get a Simboys Racing 1 and 2. Raymond Yeager in 5th. He will take 4th position from Barry Neal. If it keeps going this way, he's got 14 seconds to get, but this is what we need to watch, ladies and gentlemen. This time past the strike, it is the final lap. We'll go on board with your leader, Troy Davidson, and we'll take you through the final lap of round 2 of the RayWhite Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. If he coasts to the end, he's still got this one as he's got 14 seconds up his sleeve, and this has been a strategy masterclass by the 023 of Troy Davidson, and he comes out of 3 and 4 for the last time and takes the win for round 2 of the RayWhite Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Gary Wellman and Andy Barber on the final turn. He's got his teammate Aaron Dillon. He's got in the way. He's got into the wall. No, Andy Barber's run out of fuel. Andy Barber's run out of fuel. Can he hold on to third place? He's got 10 seconds up the road, and he's going to just do that. So Andy Barber runs out of fuel as Barry Neal is rolling down and trying to finish this one. Raymond just comes up a little bit short and comes home in 4th position. Justin Witcher in 5th position. Barry Neal is trying to get there. We'll see whether he can get there. It reminds me of watching cars. It reminds me of watching Lightning McQueen trying to jump when he burst the tyres and get over the start-finish line. He's just rolled over and he's come home in the 6th position. So Barry Neal just got the 22 home in that one, Paul. I tell you what, that was a race of strategy, and that was great to bring you here on the InterSim Esports Network.
Definitely, that extra lap of fuel for Troy Davidson definitely paid off over Andy Barber and Barry Neal. Andy Barber doing a great job on the fuel saving as well to manage to come home in P3. Yeah, that lap 80 and 81 pit stops for Troy and Gary definitely proved that they could get home and take the P1 and 2 for the Sim Boys again.
Yeah, it was all about track position there, Paul. Well, you're talking about Andy Barber, and I need to make light of this because he was great with his strategy. He was only 1 lap shorter, came into pit lane just that 1 lap before Troy Davidson. But what didn't help Andy Barber was that early track position. So that really hindered him at the end. He was 12 to 14 seconds down on that lead battle after they came out from that last green flag pit stop. And he was doing that because he could see early that he was going to be borderline on fuel, and that just didn't give him the track position to be able to fight for the end. So he'll be kicking at himself that he couldn't get that extra 1 or 2 laps out, but either way, great job taking home the 3rd step on the podium. Let's go through the final results here for round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. And it was your man, Troy Davidson from Simboys Racing, taking home the 1st place this evening. Gary Wellman, his teammate, comes home in P2. Andy Barber comes home in P3. Nice solid podium there for Andy. Raymond Yeager and Justin Witcher rounds out your top 5. Barry Neal, Kate Donnelly. Sorry, my screen has just frozen. Matty Simpson and Scotty Rankin, Aaron Dillon rounding out your 10. Darren McKenzie came home in 11th. Warwick Sharp, Pete Matson, Max Riley, and Brett Campbell 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th respectively. Ash Nessa, Greg Spencer and Sean Hart, your 16th, 17th and 18th position. 19th was Ian Class. Stephen Williams with a hard night in the office, 30 laps down in 20th. Joe Torcasio, 21st. John Class, 22nd. Adam Malone, 23rd. Derek Jacobs, another tough one for him in the 24th position. Sean King in 25th. Philip Howe, 26th. Steve Hoppett, first night back in the seat. He only finished 8 laps in this one. He come home in 27th. And Matt Payton, who had the big incident earlier, rounds out your 28-car grid for what was round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. So very shortly, we will bring you up the drivers here and have a chat to your place getters for round 2 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. We're just waiting for your final driver, Andy Barber, to make his way down into the green room so we can bring him up. He might be having a little bit of a pit stop there after what was a long race, but it was a great race here on the InterSim Esports Network. Well, we've got the time really quickly again, and we are waiting for Andy Barber, your 3rd place getter. We have to make a big shout out to the main sponsor of the series, RayWhite Rural Gayndah, for all your property up in the Sunshine Coast region in Queensland. Get a hold of RayWhite Rural Gayndah and your man Pete Matson. He'll be sure to help you out. Of course, we had the Sim Racing Edge leaderboard. That was, of course, brought to you by Sim Racing Edge for all your setups through iRacing. If you need some setups, if you need those setups for your sim racing experience through the iRacing platform. So with all that official stuff where they run open setups and your leagues, of course, jump onto them and you can get all your setup through them, and Witcher Electrics as well. But we have got Andy Barber up into the green room. We've just brought him up into the broadcast booth. Andy Barber, we spoke to you before the race, mate, in practice before he went into quali. Come out of quali in 12th position. It was a race of strategy, and you just rolled over the line in that one to bring home P3.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, definitely ran out of fuel coming out of turn 4 there, and it was coughing and spluttering, and I was just having a bit of a mind game with Gary there, with both of us trying to conserve, so trying to work out who's going to be the one to stop. But we both made it, and yeah, it's just unfortunate he got me at the line there.
Well, mate, it was a good race either way. You came into the round and you had pretty reasonable expectations. You said to me when we were speaking to you in the practice session that you were happy to come home in a P10 and in the top 10, and you definitely did better than that. You did 7 better than that, and you got a P3. You actually backed up a bit of. You've had a bit of a run of not good form in your own admitting lately. You had a few podiums a couple of weeks ago, and then it's been a little bit of a tough one, but good to see you back up on the dais again tonight.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I was going along pretty well there and came into a little bit of a slump and just did a little bit in the wrong place at the wrong time in some places. But you can never really plan for these things when you're in the race. But yeah, no, I'm certainly stoked with it. I aim for the top 10. I think this is my first Supercars podium. So yeah, no, very happy with tonight's results, and congratulations to both the guys in front.
Well, give me a bit of an insight, mate. You pitted last on lap 79. Troy Davidson, the eventual winner of this one, pitted on lap 80. Could have you got an extra lap out of that 05 Southern Stars racing car and made that lap 80 to be able to possibly make it better towards the end fuel-wise, or was that all you could get out of it?
Mate, that's all I could get out of it. It was very touch and go, and after that last pit stop, I was in conservation mode for the majority of that stint behind Gary. So, yeah, and just to make it without that last stop there, I think we got there and we got it right. We just were, a couple of 100 metres short.
Well, Paul, I'll hand the mic over to you, mate. Have a chat with Andy before we let him thank all his sponsors.
Well, you stole a question right out of my mouth. I was going to ask him how early into that last fuel stop run did you start saving? But you pretty much said you were saving the whole run. So yeah, you got that one there.
Yeah, no, it was probably a special thanks to Junior tonight that was on the comms for me and crew chiefing me. So we were both learning things from each other there. But he was the one that called the fuel strategy and was talking me through conserving it through the run. So a special mention for Junior for helping me out. But as you said, it came down to strategy tonight, and we just got lucky on the night. So.
Well, I'm sure you didn't cop too much flack from Junior compared to the old crew chief who would give you a hard time.
Yeah, no, Junior's a little bit more reliable with the clear calls on when you clear certain vehicles. So yeah, no, it's good.
And for those of you that don't know, ladies and gentlemen, Junior is actually Ryan Barber. That is Andy Barber's son. So good job to Ryan there. But Andy, a great P3 tonight, mate. It's great to see you back up on the podium. Of course, you've got a lot of people to thank for what is another podium for the Southern Stars eSports racing team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely thanks to the Southern Stars eSports racing team and our crew, Skypoint in Sydney and Mrs. Excel Garage as well. And also Tiona Holiday Park down there on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Special shout out to Margaret and Adam. And yeah, you guys obviously that put on an amazing effort each week. We all get to go back and watch the broadcast and we really love them. So you guys do an amazing job. So yeah, and pretty much the guys that run the league, Raymond and all those guys at the top of the tree, kudos to you because you've got a great series. So.
No worries, mate. Well said. And once again, from everyone at the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, us at the InterSim Esports Network, and everyone tuning in across our platforms of Facebook and YouTube, a big congratulations once again on your P3.
No worries, guys. Congrats to the other place getters too. Well done.
Well, there we go, Paul. Your third place getter tonight for round 2 of the RayWhite Rule Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. It was the 05 Southern Stars eSports Racing entry of Mr. Andy Barber. But we move to our second place getter tonight. The Simboys Racing entry of Gary Wellman, mate. It was a night of strategy. We've said that to Andy, who was running out of fuel across the line. You weren't quite as bad. You come home in second, but not quite enough to chase down that 11-second gap of your teammate, Troy.
No, I wasn't getting him. I was pushing pretty hard to make the gap back, but I actually stayed out a lap too long and run out going down the back straight, so that's why they got away from me. I think I was looking at my gauge and it said 1.8 laps, and I thought it was 1.8 litres, and I thought it was 1.8 laps, so I went a lap too long and run out. So, but it kind of worked out in my favour in the end because that's what got me to the end. So it sort of all come together.
Yeah, definitely did that. And, well, you come off round one victory. We spoke to you last week. I did ask you the question, how do you feel coming into round two? And it was pretty much, throw your deck of cards up in the air and we'll see where they fall. But you've got to be happy with your P2 tonight. That you come home with runner-up last season for season one. That's a very solid way to start season two with the first and the second.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would complain with that sort of start to the season. So yeah, I was a couple of podiums for the start, and it went pretty well, pretty smoothly. I thought, I just sort of blown it when I ran out, before that last pit stop there. But sometimes things fall in your lap, and it kind of did tonight.
Paul, over to you, mate.
Well, you're definitely looking like the man to beat for season two this round, but. We'll have to get a new seat in the booth here, Aiden, for Gary Wellman this time round. So hopefully we'll see you on the podium again next week.
Yeah, I might not be able to get here next week. That's my problem, because I'm on a 4-day hike up over the west coast of Tassie. So, a bit of a bugger that. But, if I'd known I'd be starting this season this well, I might have changed my dates. But anyway, she's locked in now.
That's right, mate. With the start that you've had, you might be able to afford to miss around, and we could probably still see the 45 Simboys Racing entry still up in the points at the end of this one, mate. But great job on your P2. Sensational start for season two of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. I know you always say you don't have a lot of sponsors, you do it for a bit of fun, but just thank anyone you like, mate, your time in the sun for your second position tonight.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks, Andy. Good racing there, and Troy as well. Congrats on the first win. Been a while coming, but I think he's pretty stoked with that. So, other than that, into Sim, Australasian SUPERCAR series. It's always a good time. Sim boys. Cabo, he did a new suits up for us the other day, so that might have brought us a bit of good luck this week round. So, cheers, Cabo.
The old flannel shirt wasn't cutting it, was it?
Oh, I didn't mind it, but she's we're looking a bit more professional now. It's good.
Well, we can see you on the broadcast now, mate. We've got an on-car view with you rolling around there, so old Cabo can get his handiwork on the broadcast, mate. But once again, congratulations on your P2 tonight. We'll bring your teammate of Troy Davidson up into the broadcast booth. Have fun on your hike next week, mate, and we look forward to seeing you for round 4.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for that.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There is your second place getter tonight for round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. It was your round 1 winner, the 45 entry Simboys Racing of Gary Wellman. We're going to now move up the man of the moment, and it is another Simboys Racing entry. Troy Davidson, I've said it to the other guys, it was a race of strategy, and you hit the nail on the head with that one, mate.
Yeah, cheers, fellas. Good to get the monkey off me back finally and get my first win. And, I just changed my strategy a little bit tonight. I sort of went out hard last week and led a fair few laps and raced up the front for a fair bit, but ended up getting caught in the crash and ended up 18th or something, I think it was. And tonight I thought, I'm just gonna race a bit smarter and see how it goes. And I wasn't really thinking of the fuel too much until about 30 or 40 laps out. And I thought, because up until that, I thought I'm not going to make it. But then just sitting in the draft and thought, I reckon it's a chance. And just got a lap after the finish and halfway through my burnout, and she ran out.
Well, we talk about strategy, and you said then, you weren't really looking at it until about 40 to go. What were your thoughts in the cockpit when Justin Witcher had about that 12-second gap on you guys at the front? You would have known that had in the back of your mind, he must have been stationary for about that time, less than you guys in the previous pit stop, which ultimately was the case. Were you thinking the race was going to come back to you? Were you worried about the gap that Justin had at that point in the race?
I wasn't too concerned because I think it was about 8 or 9 laps in the first yellow. I went in for some fuel, and then I think the next yellow we all went in. But I just sat in the draft most of the race, and if I didn't make it, obviously it sort of wouldn't have fell my way. But just looking at the relative, I thought, I think I've got it. And as long as there wasn't another yellow, which there wasn't, it sort of just fell my way. But I knew that he was on a different strategy to me, and it was just going to be which way it fell, depending on fuel sort of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And this will lead me over to Paul, mate. I'm sure you've got a question or something to have a chat with Troy about.
Well, we've seen you. You know, you always sort of been up towards that podium spot, but couldn't quite get there. And now we did have you in there. I think towards the end of the last season, you found your way up to the podium, and this time around you found your way up for a win. So good job there. I'm sure Gary Wellman will let you do a burnout in his car for celebratory reasons, but yeah, good job. How do you feel coming into round 3?
Yeah, well, I just seen Daytona. I thought, oh yeah, another super speedway. Normally fairly strong there, but then I realised it was a road course, so I might have to put a bit of practice in during the week. And yeah, sort of they certainly change it up a bit, don't they? But it's good for the series, I think, just to sort of have that amongst it and keeps us all on our toes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does, mate. And you mentioned it is a road course. We did have the traditional road courses of Oran Park and the likes last season for season 1. Not quite that this way, where they are all pretty much the oval track / road courses that you do run a lot in the NASCAR series you run. So you've done a lot of laps around those in different cars, so no doubt we've probably come to expect those Sim Boys cars. And okay, Donnelly and Christopher Finlay, who we didn't see tonight, is pretty handy around the road courses as well. So we'd expect to see those Sim Boys cars up fighting for the placings next week as well.
Yeah, that's it. Kate's probably he's got us all covered on the road circuits. He's pretty handy around there, and Chris is a bit of a dark horse. He's super consistent, and he seems to just always be there at the end on a road course. And I've not that great on the Rovals. I've sort of I have to do a little bit of practice, but yeah, it'll be great fun nonetheless.
Well, mate, congratulations on your win tonight. As you said, your first win in the Australasian Supercar eSeries, and first time on the podium for a little while since we've spoken to you, mate. Of course, big shout out to everyone involved.
Yeah, cheers, fellas. The Sim Boys, we always sort of, as we keep saying, just have a lot of fun with it, and just like the competition. But yeah, just all the series sponsors, the Sim Racing Edge, Witcher Electrics, RayWhite. You guys for the broadcast. It's great to get it to all the audience, and just the series itself, Australian Supercar eSeries. It's a great series.
No worries at all, mate. Well, we'll move you up with your teammates up in your channel. I can see them up there now, mate, so we'll move you up there. But congratulations once again on your P1. We look forward to chatting to you again next week at Daytona.
Yep, cheers, fellas. Yep, thanks a lot.
Well, there we go, Paul. There is the top 3 place getters tonight for what was round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries for season 2 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. I tell you what, that was a cracker of a race, 2 early cautions, and then we went green to the end. It was a race of strategy, and that was a great one to call.
Yeah, definitely good to see a bit of strategy coming into the race, and keeping everyone on their toes with the fuel stops and seeing who could make it and who couldn't.
Yeah, most definitely, and we saw that. We saw that Troy Davidson come away with the chocolates. He was the best on strategy tonight. Gary Wellman coming home in second, and Andy Barber coming home in third. But ladies and gentlemen, that does bring to a close round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. But please don't tune away from the InterSim Esports Networks. It all doesn't stop here. On Tuesday night, we bring you the Blendline TV Procar GT Championship once again. The location will be Twin Ring Motegi. So we look forward to bringing you all the action of the Blendline TV Procar GT Championship right here on the InterSim Esports Network. They will be in the Porsche 992. We look forward to that one. You can catch all the action live here from approximately 7:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time, or 8:15 Australian Eastern Daylight Time, wherever you may be. Then, of course, we will be into round number 5 of the Simrigs.com NASCAR Next Gen Series next Friday night. Your location will be Phoenix, Arizona. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that means we're going to Phoenix Raceway for 133 laps on what will be a sunset race. So join us next Friday for the Simrigs.com NASCAR Next Gen Series. Same time, same place. 7:15 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, or 8:15 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, wherever you may be. But then that brings us again to next Sunday night, where we'll bring you round 3 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. We're going super speedway racing, and we're going to a super speedway in Daytona, but we will not be going super speedway racing. We're going roval racing. We're going road course racing. So it'll be a mixture of banked curves and a mixture of flat right and left turns. So interesting to see what the boys bring for us here for round 3, but that is the end of round 2. Before we quickly wind up the broadcast, let's give you all the championship points before we go. Your winner tonight was Troy Davidson, but your championship points before we head into round 3 will come up on screen very, very shortly, if we hope our thing works as quick as we want it to work. I'm just trying to see it now. There we go. My apologies. So Gary Wellman is the leader of the championship after 2 rounds. Scott Rankin in 2nd. Justin Witcher 3rd. Andy Barber 4th. Troy Davidson in 5th. Aaron Dillon, Cade Donnelly, Steve Williams, Sean Hart, your 9th up to 9th. Raymond Yeager 10th. Greg Spencer in 11th. Ash Nessa 12th. Warwick Sharp 13th. Matt Payton 14th after a terrible night at the office. Joe Torcasio 15th. Darren McKenzie, a night that could have been for him, in 16th position in the championship. Barry Neal in 17th. Christopher Finlay in 18th after not being able to make it out tonight. 19th positions, Derek Jacobs, Matty Simpson in 20th. John Quass 21st. Sam Katakuzanos 22nd. 23rd, Brett Campbell. 24th, Max Riley. Pete Matson in the 25th position. Dwayne Priest, 26th. Terry Marwood, 27, who couldn't make it tonight, as well as Dwayne Priest. Ian Class in 28th. Aaron Bryan, 29th. Shannon Wright in 30th. We'll let the rest roll over so you can see where all your favourite drivers are sitting here after round 2 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. But once again, you can see us on Tuesday night for the Blendline TV ProCar GT Championship here on the InterSim Esports Network. Next Friday night, the simrigs.com NASCAR Next Gen Series here on the InterSim Esports Network. Back here next Sunday night for round 3 of the RayWhite Rural Gayndah Australasian Supercar eSeries. But ladies and gentlemen, that brings to a close round number 2 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here on the InterSim Esports Network. Your winner tonight was Troy Davidson from Simboys Racing, but from myself, Paul, and everyone at the InterSim Esports Network and everybody tuning in, we thank you so much. We wish you have a good night, and we look forward to seeing you here on Tuesday night for the Blendline TV ProCar GT Championship.